Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foiled Fox. I want to thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have so much fun with these cards. These are two identical cards, one dark, one light. You can decide which one you like the best. It features this wonderful vintage sled from Sizzix/Tim Holtz. This is also a Sizzix/Tim Holtz festive gatherings, which has all this great foliage. Then using the Spellbinders Knock on Wood embossing folder, which is a 3D embossing folder with wood grain. From Penny Black, I'm using the Merry Edger, just using the word Merry for my sentiment. And then you gotta have some snowflakes, so I'm using a Blizzard from Penny Black. And then for the papers, I'm going to be using lots of different papers. Got an A2 card base, a white A2 card base with a gray background. This will be true for both of them. That will cover the whole front of it. Then I have lots of other colors that I'll be using. Most of these, this is a great place to use your scraps. This is a piece of cotton better pressed paper. It's a little bit thicker, so I'm going to use it, but you could use white. But here we're going back into all of our scraps that I don't know if you keep your scraps, but you should, because this is a great project for that. I'm using more of the green, more of the red, and the darker green, so I have bigger sheets of that, but most of it just takes little bits of this color. And then of course I'm going to be using some glitter paper. This is a wonderful pack. I also will list the Lawn Fawn. They have a nice one too. So this is, I'm going to attach the gray card front. This is a A2 panel to my white card base. And this is just going to be a starting point. We're going to start working on the light one, and then we'll switch to kind of working on them together, the light and the dark, but they're made exactly the same way. So that is our card base with the dark front on it. And now I've got that piece of cotton better pressed paper. I'm going to spritz it on the back. You can, like I say, you can use white cardstock here if you'd like. I'm spritzing it on the back because I want it to stretch a little bit, to give it a chance to. And with this cotton paper, it'll definitely stretch a lot more. So you'll get a really crisp impression, and it won't crack. So now you can see what a deep impression this makes. I'm going to use 3 Distress inks: Lost Shadow, Rusty Hinge, and Walnut Stain. And I'm just going to go here and there with the color just on top. I'm just letting my brush kind of glide on top. I'm just giving it a little bit more definition and a little bit more interest. And now I'm going to take it, and I've trimmed just like 1/8 of an inch off of it, and now I'm making 1-inch strips. So I'm making kind of a shiplap. I want to keep it in the order that it came in, so that the pattern still makes sense. And then I'm going to use some walnut stain and rusty hinge and kind of really color those edges so it does look like planks. We'll do that to all 4 of them, keeping them in order again, just like I mentioned. And now that those are done, I have them positioned on the top of my card base, I'm going to glue the ones on the edges. So the left and the right get glued first, because then it'll tell you exactly where to position the 2 in the middle. Now I cut this, I think I cut almost 1/4 inch off, and I wished I hadn't cut it that much, so this one has larger gaps, but I think it still worked out in the end. But you can see why I used the dark paper in the background there, because I wanted to give contrast there, and you can really see that it's planked. I want to make sure that that's all set, and then we're going to set it aside once that's all in order, and we're going to get busy on these pieces for the sled. Now I've already cut out the sled pieces. You can see these are the two sled pieces that need to be red. Then these pieces, I'm using a piece of white cardstock. Then this little piece of metallic, there's one piece that is metal on there. I thought that would work out nicely. The other pieces to the set are for the foliage. We'll use those in a little bit. But first, let's just do the sled. There's not very many pieces. I don't want to neglect that little square of black that has all those little dots. Hang on to those. Keep all those dots together because you'll need them all. And you'll see they do play a small but very vital role. Now I'm using my rusty hinge again and some walnut stain, and I'm just coloring these pieces. I could have used just the brown paper, but I chose not to because I wanted to really have it look more like a wood, a wood top to my sled. And so I'm adding a little bit more definition and just coloring those. It kind of looks helter-skelter the way it is, but once they're separated, and it'll really come together. I am putting some, these are thin squares that I'm putting just for the center part, because I want it to pop up a little bit off the sled. That is how they were made, and so I just want to get those in there. And these are thin, and so they don't pop up really high, and I really, really like them. I use them more and more because it just gives you just the tiniest bit of dimension without it kind of getting too high. And you don't want it to get too high for just the sled part, but just get a little bit of definition, a little bit up off of the base of the sled. And so we'll take those really, when I need to, I cut some of those squares with the scissors and use them that way. These tiny strips on the side, they're too tiny to put any embellishment or any kind of dimension on them. And anyway, I don't think you really need it. And so I'm just going to glue those down. Then we have the one piece, that crossbar right there, that we need to add. Now this is where I need to cut and put in little half squares. I'll take off the released paper and then stick this down. And then you'll see that little sliver of a red piece. Oh, first let's get our metallic one. I'm using just a brown Copic marker. I just want to make it a little bit less shiny. I thought that was a good addition though. And I'm using a Copic marker, just a light brown. And there's grooves in this to show more wood. And I'm just accenting those just very lightly, just to give it again more definition there. Now onto this tiny red piece. And this piece fits up at the top. It's part of the guiding mechanism. And I just want to kind of get it up underneath the metallic piece and underneath the part of the sled. Now these little tiny black dots, when you cut them out, try to hang on to them because you don't want to lose them. You will need them all, so don't lose sight of them. And I'm just going to put a dab of glue where each of these go. Now, if they are too fiddly for you, and I can certainly understand that, just use some black stickles or use a black marker. That can work too. I decided to go the distance and actually stick these down. They do give a nice dimension because you do have the thickness of the paper, but I don't think anybody would notice if you just would have used a marker or some stickles. That's dimensional right there, and that they stand up that way, or some Nouveau crystal drops. Any of those, I will put them in our supply list, which there is a link down below where you can check out everything that we used. But just in case you want to use them. Our sled is done. Now there were other pieces to this set. There's actually 12 pieces, and this is the foliage. So I already pre-cut all of these. using the different colors of scraps that I had shown you before. And now I'm just arranging this foliage on top of my sled so I don't have a bare sled. I thought for this piece of holly that I would pop those up, so I'm just using half pieces of the square. And then these are the pine cones. I use craft paper, but now I've got some rusty hinge and I'm just adding that to the top. Now I just arranged everything there, all the pieces that I have, and I thought, well, that works. So I'm just, without disturbing it, I wanted to just put some glue there. I knew that the holly would cover it and the bow, so I didn't have to worry about putting kind of a healthy bit of glue there. Then I'll just tuck in my pine cones and then get my bow there. As you can see, I made a couple of these because I wasn't sure how many I was going to use. But that's I don't know how much you can see on camera, but the bow is a glittery red bow. Now it has a centerpiece there, and I'm going to put that in on the bow if I can just get it right. Now, that was a quick transition. We're done with that for the moment. And now I'm going on for the big foliage. And this is the other set, Festive Gatherings. And I'm only using these two pieces. There's 6 in all in the set, but I'm only using these 2 dies, and I've cut out a bunch of things. I've cut out some medium green and their branches, which would be brown, and I've cut out some holly and its berries. So I cut out the holly in brown because I wanted the branches to be brown. Then I cut it out again so that I can have green leaves, and yet again so that I can have some berries in the pink. And then I'll color those a little bit to give them a little bit more definition in there. But right now I'm just going to add on these leaves. Now keep in mind I did make another set of all of these off camera because I do have that other card that I'm going to be using, but I was sure you didn't need to see me do it twice. This demonstrates everything that I do though. Now I want to color those berries, and so I have this little dauber, and I'm using aged mahogany here, and I'm just coloring them a little bit more, and then I'm going to stick them down. They're individual berries, so it worked out. And now my little sprig has come to life. Now I've got to do one more thing to these because I just can't leave them alone. And that is I want to add some snow. So I'm going, and some little sparkly snow. So I've got some opaque texture paste here. This is by Ranger. And I'm just putting this on each of these sprigs. And then I'm going to sprinkle some glitter. This is just chunky glitter. I have it in the supply list. You can check it out there. But I'm just adding, and I put a little bit on the holly as well. And I'm just to make that have a little bit of a snowy appearance too. Just kind of mushing those down a little bit just so that they can get a little bit more of that glitter. I can use, get use of everything. Now I have those done, I'm going to go for the sentiment. Remember I'm using the Mary from the Mary Edgers from Penny Black. I have cut a glitter, a red, and a white. And I've done this, I did this twice because I have 2 cards. And I'm stacking the 2 reds so that the glitter one is on top. And then the white one I'm going to slightly offset because I want just a little bit of that white showing. And I don't know if you hear that annoying crows, but I have lots of them around here because I feed a lot of birds, so I have a lot of birds around. So there I have the Mary, and I also have, I snuck in those snowflakes, didn't I? I did cut those out of the white. Remember, that's out of the A Blizzard by Penny Black, but they're just out of white cardstock. Sorry you didn't see that. I just kind of just snuck those in. And I'm just positioning these. And now I'm doing this on a diagonal. Big discussion happened here where whether it should be diagonal or straight. So you're going to see one of them is diagonal and one of them is straight. And you're also going to see one with a dark background and one with a light, because again, there was everybody had a different taste. So please let me know which one you like the best. And there we go. We got the Mary, and I already off camera did the light one, and you can see that they're identical. Here gives you a closer look of the light one with the lighter planks, the one that we demonstrated, and then here's the darker one. This uses a forest green background, and but they're made exactly the same, and I hope you enjoyed it. I thought they were a lot of fun. That Vintage Sled by Tim Holtz is great. The festive gatherings, and Remember the Knock on Wood embossing folder, and the A Blizzard Penny Black, and the Mary Edgers as well. And that completes everything for you today. I will be back soon with another video. And remember that there's this little apply list below and lots more information and links. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.